welcome back to Kuda. So I think today what we'll do, we'll remove these fenders, both sides, and then I got to line up the doors on it. The doors are really, the pins are good, but everything's just shifted down. So we got to bring that back up, twist the door a little bit so it lines up with the fenders and the quarter panel, make those lines very symmetrical and so that everything lines up. So what I'll do right now, I'll just grab the camera, I'll come around here, we'll show you what we got to do in order to take these fenders off. It's not that hard, just a few bolts and they pop off. But I did notice a few things that are a little concerning on the driver's side, but they're not a big thing. We can remove it, do what we need to with the doors, put it back on, line them up, and we'll go from there. So let me turn you around and we'll show you what we're dealing with. All right guys, so here we are, we're on the fender. And so there's a couple bolts here that we got to remove. There's another one down here. There should be two, but there's only one. So we'll remove that. I did notice that we do have to take the hood hinge off. So there's just a couple bolts in behind here. Take that off. Another bolt up top. Get down in here. There's a couple bolts in the wheel well. Unfortunately, whoever put this fender on didn't put all the bolts necessary. So there's some missing here. I'm gonna have to pick up some body clips. So that holds the inner fender on. So we'll take those out. There's another bolt in behind here that we got to take off. So we'll just open up the door and take that. But under here is a little more concerning. So we'll get under here. So there's no bolt in this spot, which might tell us why this is not lining up very well. I'll get around here so you can see. Like there's a big inset in here. Everything's rubbing along in here. Bolts loose. So we'll just remove these bolts and we'll take that fender off. While we're moving around here, sorry for the shaky camera. We'll come over to the driver's side, passenger side, sorry. So there's the two bolts that we got to remove on this side. And like I was saying, we're missing some body clips in here on the other side. It should look like that. Another one there. There's a couple bolts down inside that we got to remove for the hood hinge. Another bolt here. This side. This is how it should look. 1, 2, 3. This is nice and lined up. We're going to change that. Not necessarily change it, but we're going to take this off. We're going to make sure everything's straight in here. But this side, the door gap doesn't look bad. Too bad the door is sagging. But that's what shims and floor jacks are for, just to move things around. Get everything lined up. And there's the other two bolts that have the body clips on there. We're not going to take the inner fender off. We're just going to take the outer. So we'll just go ahead and we'll take these fenders off. Oh, while we're just in the middle of setting up here, I just really wanted to make a big point here. I'm tearing this car apart so we can get things lined up and make sure everything's right on it. And then we'll put it all back together. But you know, Ziploc baggies, these are your friend. Use them. So everything that I've been taking apart, I've been labeling. So back here, this is all the front spoiler. It's bagged, it's tagged, so when I go put it back together, I know where these bolts go. I know I don't have to go searching for them. I just look at the bag, front spoiler. I know this is what's going to put this back on. Just a tip, guys. Alright guys, so I removed all the hardware that I could find on this that might be attached to the fender, the inner wheel well, stuff like that. Let's peel it off and see what we got in behind. So right now we don't want to worry about the paint too much because we got to work this fender, make sure everything's good on it. But let's peel it off, let's see. Alright. So there's the fender. Let's just set this back here. There we go. We got a working area now. So now we can get in here, we can see what we got. There's a couple shims sitting up in here. We'll get a little bit closer. Some shims that are sitting around in there. We'll make sure to take note where those came from. There's a couple more in here. But now we can get to the bolts on our door and be able to adjust that a whole lot easier without the fender there. And tighten it all back up, then we can line up the fender from there. So here we go, guys. The fender's off. We can see the inner fender nice and clearly now. It is loose. So I'm going to see what we can do to tighten that up, make sure this is secure. Like anything that you build, put it together loose, line it up, tighten it up afterwards. That way everything stays where you need it to be. So yes, the car was definitely yellow at one time. We're going to make sure that we can cover this up. Either rattle can or something to make sure that we just don't see the yellow poking through when the door opens, stuff like that. She does want it black, so we'll make sure that everything's done in black. Again, we'll make sure that this looks good as well. But I did notice that the battery tray, it's a little bit rotted, so we'll source that. We'll put a new one in here. We don't want the battery flopping around in here. But yeah, I'll go ahead, we'll carry on, we'll take the other fender off, and we'll start lining up some doors. I think that's going to be the biggest task right now, is just get them doors lined up, and then we can start sanding and blocking. And being that it's a black car, there's going to be lots and lots of hours of sanding on this. Guide coats, you know, anybody that does hot rods knows the spiel. Black cars show everything. So I'm going to go ahead, we'll take the fender off the other side, and we'll show you what's in behind. Alrighty, so I've taken all the bolts out of this, found some shims down below, found some shims in the door here. But right now, let's pull the fender off, see what we got. Hopefully I got them all, and you guys aren't going to laugh at me. There we go, guys. We got a fender off. Wish I had shown you the process with the nuts and bolts. Just give me a moment here. So as I was taking this apart with taking all the bolts out of this, making sure everything was loosened, I was using hand tools for everything. So there's my ratchet, extension, socket, etc. I use that only on this. I do have the air compressor, I've got all my pneumatic tools. Thing is, the car is 43 years old. You got to be gentle with something 43 years old. And I don't know how much rust and stuff was on these bolts. Some of these are hidden. So I prefer to use hand tools versus the pneumatic tools. I don't want to snap anything off. That way I know I can put the bolts back in. If there is one that snaps off by hand, now I know which one I got to change. But hopefully this is showing you a little bit of the process. Let me grab the camera, we'll show the back side of this one. So, alright guys, so here we are. Yeah, it's a little tight in here, but we'll make it work. So here we go. Oh, feel that sunshine, January sunshine, gotta love it. So here we go, fender's off, there's the inner fender. This one's a lot more sturdy. I don't think this fender's ever been off. So in behind here, that's where the fender mounts to in here. I didn't see a shim. Oh, we did. There's some shims down there on the floor. So those came out of that spot. There's a couple shims sitting up in here. The other fender, the other bolts right here. And that's in behind your hood spring. So there we go. Yep, more yellow. But for the most part, the inside of this looks very clean, very nice. Seam sealer's a little bit cracked, but not terrible. We'll clean that up. We'll put some new seam sealer in there. Somebody broke the bulb at one time. But hey, we're trucking along here, guys. So the next task will be getting into these bolts and lining up these doors. As you can see, these things are sagging quite a bit. So we'll make sure that we lift that door up, shim it out where we need to. But we'll get on that. I think I'm going to drop the car back on the ground to do that. But yeah, we'll make sure all this is taken care of. It's all cleaned up for her. Alright guys, so right now, we're just going to clean up all this stuff in here, make it nice and clean. I can't leave that rusty under the hood. We got to paint that stuff. So we'll clean this all up,
Get it looking good. I know we're gonna line some doors, but we gotta charge up the battery, get some power in here. That way we can get the windows down, we can line up the doors. Right now we got Brandon in here. He's gonna take the interior apart because it looks like we need floor pans on both sides, drivers and passenger. So little does Brandon know, what he takes apart, he puts back together. So we'll just get him in here, take these buckets out, center console. We'll take these the sills off on the door, and then we'll just peel that carpet back, see what we're dealing with. We might be able to make some floor pans. Worst case, we got to order them, but oh well. But yeah, we'll just truck along here, scratch up this yellow on here, put some paint on. Probably just gonna rattle can that because it's in behind. It'll be sealed. We got some new seam sealer that we got put in here. It was all weather checked, you know, a 43-year-old car. It's gonna have a little bit of wear and tear. So we'll clean that up. And hopefully we can get the doors aligned, probably tomorrow. Okay, stay tuned, guys. Alrighty, so here we go, guys. I went ahead and I played with the door a little bit. We got the hinges moved. Things are lining up very nice in here. I think I got to play with it just a little bit more. I haven't done the passenger side yet, but I'll show you why. We got to move up just a little bit. I don't like that gap so much. But the yellow's gone. And I did go ahead, we put epoxy primer underneath this. And we sealed her up with some really good black paint. So this is nice, shiny. We don't see yellow anymore. Do you see yellow? I don't see yellow. This is a good day. So the front is all primed, the inner fenders, the rad cradle, the bumper. Everything in here is all primed up now. Just gotta let that cure up a little bit, and then we'll throw some black paint on there. But what I did notice with the passenger door, this spring, this pin right down here wasn't in all the way. So lifted up the door, tapped that spring back down, put a C-clip on the bottom. And for the most part, this door is fitting pretty good, but I haven't really adjusted it too much yet, but it's fitting pretty good. Just by putting that pin back into where it belongs. So yeah, things are looking good, guys. We'll just keep moving ahead. I did notice that this car, we do need a battery tray for it. And here's just a little bit, I took the battery tray out, but yeah, it's not looking that healthy. We got this fender all secured up. It's not moving as much as what it did. But yeah, we'll just keep moving here, guys. Next video, this should be black. It's painting. I don't need to show you painting until we paint the car. We got to play with the fenders a little bit. The hood's sitting over there. We'll get the hood all sanded down. I did notice that when I pulled the trunk out, when I opened up the trunk, that the trunk lid is just a little bit seedy. So luckily Bobby Ann has provided a replacement hood, trunk lid, sitting right there. So we'll sand that up, we'll clean it up. It'll be black inside and out. We don't want any mix match colors on this car. We want it black. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching. Please leave your comments and subscribe if you like the build here. I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say about this. Till next time, guys, take care.